Welcome to Try Hard, a love letter to everyone who dares to show up fully in a world that tells you to tone it down. It's about reclaiming the joy, courage, and vulnerability of putting your whole heart into what you do, because your dreams are worth every ounce of effort. Through personal stories and interviews, we'll explore the messy, beautiful journey of chasing dreams, taking risks, and embracing the bravery of being seen trying. This is for anyone who's ever been told they're trying too hard and realized that's exactly the point. So to my fellow tryhards, welcome home. It's good to be seen trying. Welcome back to Try Hard. I am so excited for today's episode. It is a historic day in Try Hard land because we have our first guest. When I was thinking about guests that I wanted to bring on the podcast and discussions that I want to have, I came back to the fact that the friendship episode was incredibly popular and I got so many requests to dive in deeper into friendship, the different nuanced things that come up with friendship. And I'm so excited to introduce you to Blake. She is a licensed therapist and friendship educator. She has a private practice, Fig Holistic Psychotherapy in North Carolina. And she believes that life is meant to be lived in connection and helps friends have more meaningful conversations and create more sustainable friendships. So if you are in the thick of diving into the role that friendship plays in your life, I think today's episode is going to be so incredibly beneficial. You can ask my friends. I would not stop talking about the conversation and the takeaways I got from Blake for days after recording it. I had such a great time chatting with her and feel like we only just scratched the surface. So make sure to check out the show notes and description for how you can check out Blake's work online. But before we dive into today's episode, make sure to like, review, subscribe, so that way Try Hard can reach even more people and we can get more incredible guests like Blake on the pod. Welcome, Blake. I am so excited to have you here. I'm so excited to dive into all of this. I know this is a super popular topic after the kind of episode I did on friendship, and this is so much more your arena. So I cannot wait to get into the nitty gritty and just hear your perspective from all of the things you've learned working with clients and that sort of thing. I gave a little intro of who you are, but a little bit more about yourself and why specifically you decided to kind of dive into becoming a friendship educator.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's be really clear. Research is me search. So, I wouldn't say I came to this space from like oh my gosh, I have the best friendships. They're so easy. They're so just like easy breezy, and I feel so great in them. I think I came to this space because they felt really confusing and murky, and there were really beautiful, great moments of friendships, but really hard, confusing moments. And then I noticed too, like certain friendship endings hurt more than breaking up with people I was dating, and I was like, what is this? Like, I was not set up for this. I didn't have a map on how to navigate friendships as I got older. And then something interesting about my own story is after I got married, I was in grad school, we moved a lot. And so we were in Nashville and then California and then Texas and then Charleston, and now we're in North Carolina. COVID happened during that. And so I was both a therapist during that time, but also just a person like navigating how do friendships work when you move away? How do friendships work when you start holding different questions, believing different things, kind of letting certain parts of you that were really important, letting those parts go. And it just became this like messy place. And I noticed as I was going through this, my own clients were naming these things, and across the board, there's a lot more like space to be able to say, oh, I'm struggling with someone I'm dating. I'm not doing well here. I noticed, I mean, both in myself and people I was working with, friends as well, there was a lot more shame of struggling with your friends because you're just supposed to magically have best friends. You're not supposed to have any issues with them. Like, it is supposed to be Sex in the City. You have brunch with your gal pals every Saturday, and there's no issues. And that was not reality for me or anyone I was with. And so I just kind of started thinking, like, I really wish there were people in spaces that were talking and researching how to be a friend and have better friendships, but also kind of how to start looking at this very particular world in our life. So
I'm intrigued your thoughts on this. I feel like there's a good amount of research and education and things out there for how to have a healthy relationship with a partner.
yeah.
And I feel like we're only now diving into and acknowledging like there's more overlap here
Hmm.
than
Hmm.
we maybe let on. Like I truly believe when you meet a new friend, like you kind of have to court them. You're doing that like dating.
Yes,
You're
it is platonically dating.
right. And so I'm so intrigued your thoughts. Like why has it taken so long for education or resources to exist or us to say like we're not taught how to do this, so the expectation that you should be able to instantly do it is actually absurd.
Friendships are fundamentally different than our parents. We're one of the most transient generations, especially for middle upper class folks. There's a lot more moving, whereas for our parents, there was a lot more staying. And so I think, I also think about things like third spaces. There was a lot more community involvement. Like you went to church, you didn't ask, there was not the whole deconstructing movement that had happened yet. And so things were a lot more stable. So people didn't have to think about friends as much because they were just there and that was how you did it. And I think our generation, because generations around, millennial, Gen X, Gen Z, all the things, we're moving around a lot. The world is deeply tumultuous. And I think we're having to ask a really hard questions. And so that changes how we are engaged with people and people close to us. And then as far as like the research piece, why it isn't there, I mean, if we go there, I think that there are a lot of sexist undertones in it of friendships have often been poised as this like cute girl lunch. Like go have your cute lunch, go shop, go do your cute things. And friendships are not taken seriously. And I even think we as women don't always take our friendships seriously. And so they're just they easily get kind of put off to the side, both in our world and our research. But the funny thing is, there was a Harvard study done, the longest study of like the longest developmental study ever done. I think it's called like the Harvard longitudinal or Harvard adult developmental study. Google me here. Put them in the show notes. I can send you the link.
Yeah.
But it showed over time the biggest factor of a life well lived and a happy, meaningful life was having rich, meaningful relationships.
And I assume relationships is outside of just a romantic relationship.
Correct.
Familial,
Correct.
friends, platonic.
Correct. Yeah. Is having meaningful, connected relationships in your life. So I take that very seriously, which means I want to take my friendships more seriously and help other people take their friendships more seriously, because that means a more meaningful, connected life.
I love that. When you mention like needing to take it seriously, because it is something, even as women, that we can kind of have this like, oh, it's, your girlfriends, that kind of thing. We talked about Saturn return before we hit record. But I feel like for myself, this is the first year of my life where I genuinely was like, I need this. Like, this is almost, as a single woman, like, this is more important to me in this phase than finding a partner, finding a husband, like, set any of that. I think maybe a big part of it was Saturn return, but having that awakening of like, wow, this is so important to me and I cannot imagine living my life any other way in the future. I'm curious if you had a moment like that personally, or if you notice with the clients you work with, is there a switch in them? Like, is it an event? Is it a time frame of their lives? Is it they read a book or they see something and then all of a sudden they're like, oh wow, like this is actually incredibly important and I need to put in the time and energy here?
I don't know if for some people, it might be a switch. I think it's a slow burn. For me, it was of really realizing and starting to take into account, like, how do I feel in certain friendships? What parts of me show up? What parts of me don't show up? And I think it wasn't until I started having really rich, deep friendships like you're talking about, where it is, we don't have a lot of language for friendship, so it is already hard to talk about. And there is just this level of like, oh, my whole body got to exhale with them. I call these our exhale friends. Like our whole body gets to release and like really be supported by them. And we're not masking. We're not the voices in our head of like, oh my gosh, are they judging me? Do they think I'm horrible? Like they really get turned down because there's so much safety. As I started connecting with more friends like that, my tolerance for friends where I had to like play the game that I used to play a lot to fit in, or where it's like I needed to be this way, they felt worse. And I think again, as we're talking about this Saturn return, really it is this, this piece around when we're like 27 to 32. It's this time where it's like often there's just all sorts of stuff our life feels like it falls apart, but it's awful. And it's this really beautiful way of like getting to rebuild, getting to be like, I don't want to take that with me into my future. I don't like the way that I show up in these ways. I don't, and also just coming into contact with like, I don't have to believe that. Like some things I was taught in my childhood about the way the world works, like as an adult, I get to tweak it. I get to choose some different things. And so some expectations that I had around friendships changed of like, I don't want them to be these like, I don't like talking about people in ways that are mean. Like I used to do it totally because I think it gave me a sense of fitting in and I felt insecure. And so that's a place where I felt like, oh, I have a little bit of power. But as I grew in my own self-worth and my own like, oh, I like me, I needed to do those things less. And so I needed to spend time with those people less. So I think it's for some people, it's like a quick switch. But I think there does come a time where it's like, I want to be in friendships and in relationships where I can be connected to myself and be connected to you. Like I don't have to check myself at the door to be in relationship with you. So
I love the exhale friends. Like that's such a perfect way of describing it. A question that someone had submitted was, there's a lot of things out there of like run clubs and make new friends groups, and as beneficial and helpful as those are, it can kind of create a lot of those like, oh, maybe I see you once a week and we like have our general like, oh, what'd you do this week? Like I did X, Y, or Z, like kind of checklist of things we talk about. What are your thoughts or tips maybe for bringing someone into that like next level? Do you have to ask them out? Like it kind of talking about how we were talking about dating before, but it does feel like when you meet someone and you kind of are like, I think we might hit it off. You kind of have that like, am I about to ask them on a friend date? And are they about to like say yes or no? Literally, like what do you check on the matchmaking form? But I think people often struggle with that. Like, how do you go deeper and explore so you can find those exhale friends?
I love some directness. And I know it can give some people the heebie-jeebies. It gives me the heebie-jeebies sometimes. But I love being really direct. I think, again, there's a lot of, especially as women, there's a lot of senses of like, oh, we read each other's mind. Like even that, notice like the cadence of my voice, like, oh, we're just friends. We see each other once a week. We catch up, like blah, 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 blah. Like it's this like upspeak that there's not any end or edge. And so I think the invitation in also taking our friendship seriously and going deeper is saying like, hey, I have really appreciated our time together. Like, I want to do this more consistently. I want to like get to know you more. Like even in naming like to a friend you might already have, like, hey, I consider you one of my like closest people. Like I consider you someone in my circle. I know the way that I kind of accidentally found out, I both knew and didn't know, it was really confirming, of a friend, one of my dearest friends several years ago. She came to visit, had a great time. And afterwards, after she left, I just got like super busy and I did not reach out to her for like a month. And yeah, I know. Do as I say.
It happens to us all.
It happens to us all. And she was really brave and thoughtful and let me know, like, Blake, I really got in my head. Like, did you not like me? Did you not like spending time with me? I consider you one of my like closest friends, and it really hurt when you didn't, like when there wasn't any follow up afterwards. And that kind of like woke me up in a sense. It gave me like a jolt of like, oh my gosh, yes, that was so shitty of me. I'm so sorry. And it really helped cement to me, like, this is one of my close friends. Like, because sometimes I also forget, like, oh, people do like me and they want to be friends with me. I think we need to hear that from our friends. Like, and so even just naming, it could be a question of like, hey, I want to go deeper, but it could also just be a statement of, I really care about and value our friendship and know that like you and our friendship is one of my priorities. Like, I really consider you to be in my inner circle. Of just naming that, like, I'm going to take you and our friendship seriously is really helpful.
I love that. It makes me think of like the post-date text. Like, we kind of look for that affirmation of like, oh, thanks so much. Like, I had a great time. And it is one where like you get coffee with someone new. It is maybe a good practice to be like, I genuinely enjoyed myself. Like, thank you for taking the time to be out. But it does feel it feels a little like vulnerable, or I think it
is.
Yeah, or the fear of like being too much, being like the too, not like clingy, but you know, coming across too strong, which in a way I'm like, embrace it, you know, the people who are meant for you will find you.
That's what I hold as well, is like, would you rather know now or know then? Like, would you rather know sooner or later if this is a friend that wants to go deep? And I think by being vulnerable, it is really vulnerable to say, I really like you. And it brings up all of those like little middle schooly parts of us that are like, will you sit with me at the lunch table? Like,
yes. Or the first time they call you like a best friend and your heart like flutters. You're like, yes. I got the title.
I got the title. We will quickly see if a friend can meet us there. And certainly I know some people it takes longer to warm up, all of that. So I'm not saying like hard and this might take time, but you'll begin to see if a friend can meet you there or if they can't. And that can also help you have some expectations around the friendship. If this is someone that you want to go really deep with and you've offered that, and they say, you know, they get really skittish, or you notice like it's hard to connect with them as regularly as you want to, that helps you reassess like, oh, of course I'm sad. I wanted to be closer to them, but I now need to kind of focus my energy on other friendships as well. Not be friends with this person, but I can focus my friendship on other people, or focus my energy on other people that can reciprocate that and want to go deep as well.
Thinking about kind of those moments of letting them know like, hey, I'm enjoying this. I'm intrigued with the fact that like when we're dating, we talk a lot about like likes and dislikes, and these are my love languages, and this is like how I like to be communicated with. And we kind of give these outlines or like guidelines of like, this is how to interact with me. Is that at all appropriate or sane? Sometimes I'm like, is that something that people should be doing more of like actually having those, like, what's important to you? How do you want me to show up as a friend? Or is it kind of like, that's potentially overkill, maybe not needed, unless that's your personality type?
This will be a shameless plug for, I created a conversation.
I'm so glad you're bringing it up.
Yeah.
So please plug it, because I think it's
plug
brilliant.
Away. I'm like, I did this. I'm so proud of myself that I actually brought this baby into the world. But I really do value these conversations with friends, because again, a lot of times as women, we can assume we just know how to take care of each other. I know what you want when you're having a hard day. You know what I want when I'm having a hard day. And we assume that just because we're more relational, we'll know. And that's not true. That's not the case. And so what I did with the friendship deck is I really wanted to start having these conversations. I wanted to help friends have these conversations, because sometimes it can feel a little jarring to be like, how do you like to be communicated with? Like, you need some gentle startup, so to speak. Some friends do, at least. And so it's these really playful questions around both like what causes you to lean forward in a friendship and what causes you to pull back, to think about who was your first friend, what was like, who's a friend that's taught you the most about friendships. Really, it's just a game to invite you and your friends to think more consciously about your friendships, to think about how you think about your friendships, and also learn how to take care of each other. Like, what do you need when you're having a hard day? Like we do in romantic relationships, we get to have those in our friendships too.
Also kind of takes the ownership off of you. Like, you're not the one who's like, hey, I want to have all of these serious conversations. You're like, oh, we're having like a dinner party, like let's utilize these. And it's something else to kind of like bring the topic up, as opposed to you just like cold pitching it. So I think it's so
Let me
so
and the deck bring the topic up.
There
and
you go.
That can diffuse some of the intensity of it.
You become the scapegoat. It's perfect.
Exactly.
So thinking about like late 20s, early 30s, dating and relationships. And I'm curious if you think it's actually possible to prioritize both at the same time.
It depends. I mean, I think some people, I've found myself in a healthier dating relationship. And so once I was there, like then I had enough support behind me to be bolder in my friendships and braver in my friendships. And sometimes it's vice versa. So I think they can play off of each other. I don't think it has to be either or, but I am a really big fan of taking conscious time to invest in your friendships. They're going to be the shock absorbers of your life, so to speak. They're going to be the ones that hold you when you go on the first date, when you get broken up with, when you do the breaking up, when you get married, when you have babies, when you have miscarriages, when hard things happen. Like, life will be hard. And so I think it is really important to spend some significant amount of time investing in your friendships and creating these really cornerstone places where you feel like you can be seen and heard, and playful and be most yourself. And I have found for a lot of people that are, say, afraid of dating, sometimes doing the friend making is, it's a lower risk. It can still hit on all of those. Like, you're going to feel anxious or awkward. Probably you could get rejected. Someone could say, I don't want to spend time with you, or they'll just ghost you. That will happen. But sometimes just getting in the mood and getting in the mindset of like, I'm meeting new people, I'm putting myself out there, learning how to do that. I mean, they're transferable skills into dating, and your dating skills will also transfer into your friend making skills. Because I think it's really important for us to learn, if we are in a season of making new friends, how can we, like dating, learn to not take things as personally? Like, these people don't know if they're rejecting us after the first or second date or friend date. Sure, they're rejecting parts of us, but like, we're also not getting fully rejected because they don't know all of us. And people who want to know all of us are going to slow down and be curious and be engaged and lean in. So I think it's also about like learning how to, hold on to our self-worth in these precarious places.
That feels like a good transition to friend breakups. And when they do know your full self, I think there's kind of twofold. There's like the hurtful breakup of like something happened that maybe is not fixable. And then there's the also, which to me can feel just as painful. Like, we've just grown apart. The slow fade. Do you acknowledge the slow fade? Do you not? Like, it's kind of literally like a heartbreak where it's like one heart breaks a little bit more than the other. Like, the heart doesn't break evenly. And so with the slow fade, like, is one person upset with that? So do you think it's a scarcity mindset of why we're like, oh, I don't want to let go of this friendship because I won't ever find more? What typically comes up for people with that?
I mean, that can be part of it. Sometimes that's the reason that we don't acknowledge that the friendship isn't working, because it's like, I already don't have a lot of friends. If I end this friendship, it's going to be like, we're going to be in the desert. So that is a reason. I also think that, again, a lot of the implicit messages we have been given about friendship growing up don't really serve us. Like all of us, I mean, let's think about it. So many of us wore best friends forever necklaces, but let's be reminded those were broken hearts that we were wearing on our necks.
You're so true. Literally, it is so, the irony of that is unmatched.
Yeah, when I saw it, I was like, ooh, telling in some ways. So I just don't think that we've been given a lot of frameworks on how to think more generously about friendships. Of, yeah, there are friendships there, nothing happens, but you move away. And it's like, this was more of a friendship where we're not going to talk on the phone. Like, there are certain people where I'm like, I don't want to talk to you on the phone. Like, I will see you in person, but we're not talk on the phone, friends. So this friendship won't survive me moving, which is okay. And then there are others where it's like, no, I am going to make the effort. I'm going to stretch myself to do things that I don't normally do because I care so much about you and this friendship and what you bring. But to go back to friendship endings, I think a lot about, I like to think sometimes about friendships as clothes, sort of like a jacket, where it's like, at one point, this jacket was like the favorite, most comfortable thing that you wore. It looked great with everything. You felt so good in it. It was like snug in all the right places. And as you've grown and over time, you're like, my style's changing. Or like, ooh, it feels tight. Like it feels constricting. It now feels like annoying to wear. Like I get really itchy wearing it. And I think about that with our friendships a lot. Like certain things that used to fit so well and we used to love so much, all of a sudden it's like, ooh, this doesn't like feel good. Like I feel not great. And sometimes, I mean, there are ways to work through it, but especially we'll just stay with friendship endings. I think there's sometimes where we have to be brave enough with ourselves to acknowledge that of like, oh, this isn't working anymore. Like this used to, but this doesn't feel good anymore. I don't feel good with this person. I don't feel good with the parts of me that are coming forward. It doesn't feel good to always be walking on eggshells or noticing like my body's always like in such a tight, constricted like knot when I'm with this person. And all I can think about is when I get home and when I can take the jacket off. That's usually a tell to pay attention to of like some things aren't working anymore. And those are, I would say, more of the painful endings, or sometimes we want them. It's like, no, it used to fit. It used to fit. It used to fit. And we fight ourselves. We like try to not know what we know. And I think that's kind of part of the reason that friendship endings take so long is that we want to keep them together. We want to salvage them. These people were important to us. But there does come a time where I think we have to acknowledge like this isn't what it used to be. And the best way that I can love you is to let you go and hope that both you and I can find friends that can hold who we are today in really generous ways that we can't right now.
Do you suggest that's an actual conversation?
Sometimes.
Or that sort of like,
Yeah.
the pauses between
Yeah.
texts or, hangouts gets longer and longer and then it kind of fizzles from there?
Yeah. Sometimes I think it just depends. I mean, I've done both. And I think both happen. I think sometimes it can be really helpful to have like a very clear, conscious, I love you and this is not working anymore. And sometimes it's just like the slow fade, right? Where it would be like too weird or strange to like have this intense conversation when it's like, I haven't actually had a deep conversation with you in 2 or 3 years. And so the writing's kind of on the wall and it's more me accepting to myself, like this friendship has been successful. It's now over. Yeah. Like it has lived its life.
Do you practice ahead of time? Do you write out what you're going to say? Do you have like a little mantra of like, okay, the world is going to keep, like, if I have this conversation, like nothing is going to be that dramatically different 30 minutes afterwards? Like that's what you kind of remind yourself? Do you have any sort of things you kind of gravitate towards?
So I am a somatic therapist, which means a lot of work happens in your own body and nervous system. So it's like it's not that hard. Like we can all say no. But a lot of us, it is very hard to be with what happens in our own bodies when we're trying to say no to someone else. Like, whew, heart racing, sweating, like tummy issues, like IBS girlies, like it's intense. The body holds it all. So I would offer so much of the work of, I mean, we'll just stay with this of telling people the truth, really is what you're doing. Is how can you find a place inside of you that can be okay with that truth and that can be just okay with being you. So a lot of times that's like, can you feel your feet? Like, can you actually just like come into this present moment where like you're so panicked of I'm about to have this like incredibly hard conversation? Like, can you take a breath? Can you feel the chair beneath you? Can you feel, I often suggest if you're doing a really hard conversation, please let somebody know to like support you and do a wellness check afterwards. Like, can you also feel their presence with you? Like the person that you've talked to that's like, this is the right decision. Can you feel kind of their spirit and essence with you to help you be brave, to help you like come back in your body, to be able to clearly say like, this isn't working anymore. And I think you and I both know that. And we have to like, I can't be in this anymore. Whew, scary stuff.
I feel like I need to put the timestamp of you being like, can you feel your feet? Can you feel like, so when you have to have that conversation, because it's not even that it's not working, you know, I feel like we also have that where someone does something that slightly upsets you, or maybe they didn't show up in the way, or, you know, I know people wrote in about things feeling very much like one-sided, especially when people get into, or the friend gets into a relationship and it's suddenly like, you can feel like you're fading into the background.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily like this isn't our friendship isn't working, I'm done, but having to say,
ouch,
this is what's coming up for me.
I feel hurt and I want you to hold this reality with me too. Yeah, it's really hard to say like, I feel like I've been doing all of the heavy lifting of our friendship lately. I haven't felt like you've reached out. Again, my nervous system's pretty regulated in this moment because I'm having a great conversation with you. But when we think about even just imagining having those conversations with friends, like we can probably feel like some constriction inside, some tightening of our chest. Like, oh my gosh.
Like
And
my hands are sweating.
yes, literally. And it's like, okay, like let's take a breath. Like let's feel our feet. And let's like bring ourselves to this conversation. It will be scary. And we have to think too, like, I want friendships that can hold the good parts of life and also the hard parts. And us needing to check in from time to time about how we're caring for each other in the friendship is actually such a sign of health. And so can we be less afraid of these conversations? Are they going to be temporarily uncomfortable? Yes. But it's going to create a sustainable friendship.
And I love the check-in of almost like it's us versus like this problem as opposed to like you versus me. It's like, how can we make this something that can serve us for years and years and years to come?
Yeah, the friendship.
Because I want to be those Instagram reels of the little ladies on their like Parisian trip at 80. You know what I mean? Like you said it to a friend, but it's like, how do we set up the friendship so that can actually be us? And we do love each other through the ups and downs and the moments where, you know, one person is much busier than the other.
So that's what I think that vision is something that we hold on to too while we're having the hard conversations. It's like, I'm having this hard conversation because I want this both for us. I want this to be a sustainable, rich friendship where we both get to be ourselves. And we're going to miss each other from time to time. Like, be less afraid of that. Be less afraid of your humanness in your friendships. It happens. No one's bad. You're just saying like, hey, I need a little more. Like, notice me.
I love that. It's like you're going to say the wrong thing. And it's better to have done that than like literally been absent because you were so afraid of saying the wrong thing.
There's a really lovely quote. I don't remember who said it, but she said, the friends who risk saying the wrong thing instead of nothing are made of dearer stuff. And I love it so much. Yeah, I'll have to find who said that.
Do you have any kind of friend rituals you do with those both who are close to you and you can actually physically see, and
Yeah.
even like long distance friendships?
I mean, most of my close friends, I feel like all of us say this, like our best friends don't live where we are. I mean, that's my big reality, which is so sad, and I miss them. But I am a fan of the voice notes. I am like queen of the voice notes. Voice note away. Give those 10-minute podcasts to your friends. So I use my car time when I'm on my way to work and when I'm coming home. Like that is my time to chit chat. And I really love it because I've called this season. I have a toddler. I work full time. I don't have a ton of friend time. So I call this like the season of this friendship snack. And so I just, it's like I don't get full blown meals, but I do get to have like really great little snacks. And I think of voice notes as snacks. And then I also think about like how to create, like little rituals in your friendship. I have one friend, it's Friday, so it's a big day in our friendship. We call it Lake Pajama Friday. We're both moms. And so like during the week, we're like, we're almost to Friday. We're almost to Friday. And on Friday night, we wear our lake pajamas because we made it through the week.
I love that. Honestly, so smart. I feel like
Right?
I will have to steal that one day.
Yes, steal it away. Steal it away. I'm trying to get some free lake pajamas. But in essence, it's this like, hey, I'm tracking you, I'm thinking about you, you're thinking about me. Like, how can we keep our friends in the forefront of our mind? Because we all need to be reminded, like, I love you, you're important to me. And when we can introduce little rituals like voice notes or like fun, playful things like that, we let our friends know, hey, you're important to me. You matter. You take up space in my brain, and I like it.
Yeah, like on the receiving end, it also just feels good too to be like, oh, you were thinking of me. Like that's so nice, because there is a level of vulnerability of wanting people to like you and navigating that, and so it can be like affirming when someone does actually say like you were, top of mind for me.
Yeah, like please, if your friends pop up in your mind, like use that is your invitation. Hi, I was just thinking about you. I can't tell you how many times I have done that. And a friend is like, oh my gosh, I was having the hardest day. It's so good to hear from you. Or I was having like the down in the dumps day. And a friend said, like, you popped in my mind. And it's like, oh, I matter in the world. Like it becomes a buoy for us.
Obviously, like all of the incredible work you're doing is making an impact in the world, but I'm curious how you think like friendship culture overall is changing and potentially looking for the next generation. Do you feel like we're gonna see shifts? Do you feel optimistic that we might move towards more open conversations and discourse around it? Like I would hope so, but I'm curious what you're seeing on your end because you're definitely more in the research.
I don't have any research top of mind, but I do think that I do see a pull back to community and back to this reality of like, we need each other. And yes, this more openness and willingness to let there be friction and kind of accept friction as a part of friendships and as a part of being in community. I think we are seeing like a lot of the consequences of a hyper individualistic society. And so slowly but surely, I think if we are conscious and willing, we will move back more into communities and more into valuing needing people. I mean, I think about chosen families, like a term that was coined by the queer community. I think that we're going to see more of that just with political discourse and that really being very divisive with families, especially estrangement is at an all-time high, and there's good reasons for that and hard reasons for that. I don't want to say like you're not doing it. It is a reality of what's happening. And so I think this idea of chosen family, of this holding of we do need each other, we need people. Life is hard, and we need buoys, we need supports behind us. So I think that we are starting to make more space for it. But I think as we're like going out and trying to make a community, it's like, wait, whoa, this is hard work. Like this won't happen on accident, and it's not going to happen on accident anymore. And we have to be willing to get messy and to be inconvenienced and to keep trying. So yeah, it is hard work, but it's worthwhile work.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like there's a lot of conversation around like the price of, if you like want to be a part of the village, like you have to be willing to like be inconvenienced.
Yeah.
And it is that kind of like, it's a Friday night, you had plans with someone, you're feeling tired.
Yeah.
But you still gotta like,
You gotta get
there's
that
a level
cute
of
butt
like,
of
you gotta
yours
push forward.
out of the bed. Yeah, you can put your lake pajamas on after.
True. You gotta hold your commitments first, or even the lake pajamas, if it's cold enough, could be a little like
There you go.
long john thing.
There you
going
go.
on.
There you go. Yeah, it is. Our lives are becoming so frictionless. I think it's good for all of us to remember like friction is good for us. It is good not to get everything that we want all the time. And that shows up in our friendships of like, we will have to push ourselves, even though we love our friends. It means like keeping hard pants on and like going out in traffic and finding a parking spot. And like, it does take time and effort, but I think once we're there, it's like working out. It's like, I'm so glad I did that.
Thank you so much for coming on today. If people are interested in finding you, your work, they want to learn more, obviously I'll put the friendship deck as well in the show notes. But where can they find you, and what other kind of resources can they gain from you?
Yeah, so I have my practice. My therapy practice is Fig Therapy, and I'm licensed in North Carolina and South Carolina and Texas. And then I share a ton of resources over on TikTok and Instagram. I think TikTok is how we found you. You showed up on my FYP.
I think so, yes. I think you also commented on a friend's article, which we can talk after this, but I was like, okay, this is like a universal sign of I'm feeling vibes here. So I was like, okay, this is like a weird, yes, but
energy.
I have seen you on TikTok for sure.
Yes. So I'm there. It's on TikTok, it's Blake Blankenbecler.lpc, and Instagram it's just Blake Blankenbecler. But yeah, just throw in a lot of B's and you'll find me.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again. It was so great to chat.
Yes, this was so fun.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Try Hard. As always, be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe so that way Try Hard can reach more people. And I will see you in the next episode.